What up? It's your boy Stacy Spirit. Now we cooking with mango grease. I'm doing my documentation on, Wisconsin, and I have a show tonight. So I'm getting a little perspective. So I met this nice African American woman, and she works in the park that I'm in right now. So she's gonna give me some kind of perspective on what Wisconsin is all about and what she does. Without any further ado, here we go. What's up?
Hey, how's
Hey,
it
hey, hey,
going?
hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, first of all, what's your name?
So my name is Raquel Segura. I'm originally from Racine, but I've been working in Milwaukee all my life.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much helping people who need a little bit of help, guiding people. I've done a lot of work in case management, housing services, and I currently work for Milwaukee County. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just out in the area looking around, kind of seeing who I can find out here, see if I can help them, get into our system and help them with housing plans, get them connected to income, whatever it is that they need to just kind of get themselves stable.
Okay. Is the homeless population here a very serious problem, or is it minor? I know you're out here, obviously, to help those individuals that are in need, but is it a very serious problem here in Milwaukee?
I can't say that it's not a serious problem altogether. I will say that we do see a lot of different people who come from out of state and kind of just trickle down to Milwaukee. And so it's definitely a problem everywhere. It's really just dependent upon where you're at the moment.
Where you?
As you can see right now, we're kind of in a nicer park, but
Mm-hmm.
if you just so happen to travel in a downtown area, you'll see you'll see tents throughout the city. You'll see a lot of people just kind of sleeping at bus stops and things of that nature. And so homelessness is we don't see like a skid row, but it does have the potential to grow that way, if that makes sense.
Okay, that does make sense. So, Milwaukee, tell me about the the homeless people that you meet. What do they tell you? Why, how they got homeless? Did you have those type of conversations with them? And can you kind of elaborate on that and tell me and speak on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we tend to see here in Milwaukee with a lot of the homeless population is we get a lot of people who say they're from Chicago, and what they do is the older generations tend to come down to Milwaukee because they have an aunt or an uncle or a cousin or a family member who will come down here and want to bring them down here. I get a lot of people who say, I've been to Chicago, and when I ask them why they haven't, really established roots there, they say, oh, well, Chicago is all gangland and there's issues. It's too expensive to live and things of that nature. And so what I like about Milwaukee is that we all come together in a collaborative effort to just kind of meet together and see the people that we're reaching out to try and help them. And so even if a person is homeless when they're incarcerated, when they come out, that person is still homeless. And so what our team does and a bunch of other teams is we collaborate together to try and meet them where they're at, to try and get those people from being in that continuous cycle, and then we try to wrap them around in services. So even though we don't work on or focus on just their mental health or just their addictions or just they can't, they've had eviction after eviction, what we'll do is we go by what's a housing first model that was actually created by I want to say housing first was created probably around maybe 30-40 years ago, if that. And what it does is it focuses on the housing first, and once those people are in those houses, what they'll do is then they'll start to wrap those services around them. And so what we're doing is we realize that when a person is homeless, they can't focus on a job, they can't focus on their mental health, they can't focus on their income because they're too worried about where they're going to sleep, what the weather's going to be like, how are they going to stay warm.
Absolutely.
And what happens is we figure out what's best for them. And do we see a cycle of people? We definitely do. We see people, they come through one program, that program doesn't cut it, so then we send them to another program, or they go back inside and then they come back out. And so housing first, again, is all about focusing on housing that person first and then working on those other things to keep that person stable.
Absolutely. You did very great on that. Another question for you. far as the statistics that you see that people are homeless, male, female, black, white, Hispanic, what is the the number of people that you see? Are there more black people that are homeless? Are there more white people that are homeless, Hispanic? What are the numbers for statistics in Milwaukee?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have specifics to the statistics, but what I can actually say is what I see. No system is perfect, and so what we tend to see a lot of is that families are easier to get into shelters, and they're easier to get them housed and get them into programs, because obviously we don't want those kids missing out on those opportunities, as well as like if they've been in the foster care system a couple of times, or if that's what they grew up in. Everybody knows that once you age out of foster care, you're pretty much on your own unless you have a family that has brought you in, and so we don't typically see that a lot. But what we do see is that sometimes it's a little bit harder for men than it is for women. And it's not only just black men, it's just not only, white women or white men. There is no color when you're homeless. If you're homeless, you're homeless.
Right.
And I seriously mean that with all my whole heart, because what happens is sometimes people don't have the means necessary, or they don't have the trust that it takes to get the help that they need. Or, as you know, growing up in a household where everything is, don't talk about it, don't tell people your business, and that's doing us more harm as a community than it is, helping us or trying to get people to realize, like, you don't want to go tell your business. But in the same token, if you're struggling and you need something, are you going to go without, or are you going to try to do what you can? And so, as far as statistic wise, again, going back to that incarceration and that reintegration into the community, it's very hard for men, because if you're a sex offender, if you have felonies, if you have an extensive criminal background, it's hard to house those people, as well as it is for those who don't speak English. So if your English is broken and you get somebody like me who can barely understand the Spanish, even with the heritage and the roots, then how do you reach out to how do you get that person help? Right. And if it really doesn't help if you don't have a diverse team. And so what we're trying to do, and what we definitely have done, is come together to kind of bring those dynamics together to build different teams that can reach out when they reach out.
Okay, so an average salary for someone to live in Milwaukee, I'm not talking about no crappy rundown apartment. I'm talking about living life, like you seem to be living life. Okay. How much does it cost to live here? I mean, to really live here? Because I talked to a couple of people before, and they said, hey, if you're actually black, do not come here. They said, do not come here. It's racist. They don't try to help blacks. There's no jobs. And I'm just seeing you seem like you're striving here. But I talked to a lot of people, and they said Milwaukee is very racist. The cops, I said, they'll put the handcuffs on you. She said, no, they won't even put the billy cup on you. They'll shoot you. I said, God damn, that's what they'll do. So can you kind of elaborate on that? What does it cost to live here in Milwaukee and not to be out here homeless on the streets?
I would say, if we're talking dollar amounts, it does seem like I do have
$100,000 a year.
I would say, you definitely want to meet the middle class and maybe even above, because you want to make sure that you have everything covered. And so it's really dependent upon what your family dynamic is. So for me, I live in a household with my husband, my 2 daughters, and my mother-in-law. My husband is a veteran, so I'm fortunate for that, because we do have a lot of different opportunities. He and I both went to school. We're college graduates, we're high school graduates, so all of that takes into account. But some people, they don't go that route. Some people are not afforded that opportunity. And so what needs to happen is there definitely needs to be more of a push for education, while also trying to figure out how to budget and manage money. And so that's really where a lot of it comes into play too, is that if you're a generational child whose grandmother was on Social Security and using housing and welfare and stuff like that, that's already implemented in you, that that's there, that's something to fall back on, but it's not enough.
Right. So again, my question, $25,000 a year, 50,000, 75,000? Because you kind of told me a whole, and you were very eloquent about. Are you running for office? Because you sound like almost like a politician.
No, absolutely not. Again, I would say that 60 to 100K a year is probably what somebody needs to live. But to be stable, just thinking about it, with the price of food and everything that's up. And I only say those things because now I'm not a politician. I'm not here to be on anybody's, roster or nothing like that. I'm here to lay it out, like, to be very, very completely honest with people. Coming from the generation that I came from, we're wearing Jordans. We want the latest car. We want this. We want that. But we're not thinking long term to get out of those generational curses that our family have laid for us. Which all goes back to my mama was on housing, my daddy was, incarcerated, things like that. So taking more of like, what is it going to cost to live completely, wholeheartedly, without having to worry about, I only have $20 in my bank account, how am I going to fill my gas tank up? Because I'm not going to lie, I have those problems too. The only difference is I'm starting to see and recognize that, and so I'm preparing my household and my family and my kids for what's to come next. I'm looking at what can I do to give back to the community. Again, making sure that I'm out here meeting with people, making sure that I'm giving it to people, making sure that I'm connecting people to what they need and not selling them no lies. So if you meet me and you're homeless, I'm not going to ask you, well, why are you homeless? Where are you? I'm going to ask you those questions based on what I see. If you're telling me, oh, I'm staying at my cousin's crib and I'm sleeping on their couch, that unfortunately that doesn't qualify for homelessness, because there's different categories to that. What I'm going to say to you is, okay, what's your income like? Are you able to work? Do you want to work? What is it that you need to live on your own and to be stable? Those are the things that I'm thinking about. Do you have that Do you have that education piece? Do you have that support system? Because we can't do this by ourselves. It really, really does take a village to raise us as a community.
Absolutely.
So those are the things that I when I think of cost of living and when I think about living in Wisconsin, that's what I think about. As far as the police brutality, yeah, we do tend to see the short end of the stick. But if you go down to Alabama, you're going to see the short end of the stick too. If you go up north to Wisconsin Dells, you're going to see the short end of the stick too. You got to think about it. It's not about like, does this city shoot more than the other? Do we have more gangs than this? It's not about that. It's about how you strive to be the best you that you can be in any situation. And that's what I'm all about.
Do you think that African Americans are striving in Wisconsin?
I think that I'm starting to see a turn in it. Do I see more Black co-workers doing what I'm doing and going to school and out in the community and doing what they're supposed to be doing? Absolutely. Do I hear those conversations amongst everybody? Yes, I do. Do I think that a lot of the community providers, that are helping these people who tend to get the short end of the stick have those difficult conversations about black, white, gray, pink, blue? Of course. It's all about the diversity and equity. And so coming from the companies that I've came from, I've bounced around a lot. But at the end of the day, my main thing is that I'm comfortable in doing the work that I love to do. And this is what I love to do. Great.
Now, what are some activities and things that, African Americans tend to do here in Wisconsin? Like I know I'm from Miami. We have Goombay. We have the festivities that we do. We have Cayocho for the Latin community. What are some type of festivities or things that are here in Wisconsin for people to do? Because when I got on the plane and I was coming here, I tell you, it was only like 2 or 3 people that were African American on the plane. It was just so much mayo. It was white. And I'm like, God, where am I going? I heard places. I did my kind of research, and I'm being honest, and I have experienced some racism in your city. I have experienced a couple of times, but I would like to know from your perspective, what are some things that African Americans tend to do? Because I kind of look around, and I've been going around the different cities, traveling, and it's nothing like but white kind of stuff in the nicer kind of area, and I don't see any kind of like diversity of black businesses or things like that. Like, you know, like I'm from Miami, we got the Jamaican restaurants, we got the Haitian food, we got the Caribbean, we got all kind of Bahama. But here I don't see that here. Can you kind of tell me that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of spots, you know, out here. One of them is actually right down the street. It's Lush Popcorn. I have to, you know, promote Lush Popcorn. It is black owned, and it started out in the Sherman Phoenix, and so they have liquor infused popcorn. I don't know if you'll get tipsy from it, but what you will taste will be absolutely great and amazing. The owner is definitely, she's very, very great. She has a lot going on. I believe they're a brother and a sister, so Mark and Marcia. If you want to go down to Lush Popcorn, there's also the Sherman Phoenix, where there's a lot of black owned restaurants in there. There's a paint space, there's Honeybee Sage right off of MLK. Water Street is definitely where some of us will hang out at, and so there's like Poor Man's, and then there's Truth Lounge. They have boat tours, you know, where you can go, you can listen to a live DJ, and you can get a couple of drinks. So it's definitely stuff down here to do.
And it's around my black people. We're hanging around my black people because I love my black people. I just got to say that 100%. 100. Man, I do appreciate your time. Nice young lady.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
are outstanding. And
Thank you.
You know, and you are
You as
one
well.
dime in Wisconsin. Beautiful black sister. Thank you for tuning into the Stacy Spirit Show. I'm on fire. Bitch, I'm out.